Okay, well, let's go through this quickly. You notice I took my jacket off, and thanks to some of the previous speakers there. Thanks to Tommy. Colorado has gotten a lot of good coverage. I saw 3 posts already this morning on CEO. And thanks to JC, I have just learned that I can't use the word excel in my presentation. So goodbye. Okay, let's go on. Cautionary language, come by our booth, I'll tell you all about it. Those of you who don't know us, I'm a geologist by background. A lot of good mentors that I've worked in the business for 30 years are part of my team. Got a good strong board, a lot of people even with grayer and lesser hair than myself. We are the largest landholder in the Golden Triangle, an area up in northwestern BC. So there's either Pretium, $1.5 billion market cap company, Seabridge, $1 billion market cap company, or Colorado, presently under $20 million market cap company. Like I say, come by our booth. We're also going to put this presentation on the website here shortly after my presentation here. So for those of you who don't know, the Golden Triangle is an area up in northwestern BC. Just go up near the Alaska Panhandle. Colorado's got quite a number of other projects in that area, but we're here really to talk about the KSP project, and in particular one zone at KSP called Inel, where we did some drilling this year. I like to say the rocks have been great up in northwestern BC for somewhere in the order of 100 million years, and I've been working there for 30. Some of my directors have been working there off and on for 50 years, but really the game changer has been infrastructure. Roads, power lines, new mines being built. This is some of the new mines up in the area. Of course, the Red Chris mine that came into production last year. That's a photo I took of Pretium when I flew over it on my way from Stewart out to KSP. That's the McClymont power generating station right on our claims, right next to our core shack. 65 megawatts of power being generated at McClymont alone, 300 megawatts being generated right in the area. Keep in mind, a mine like Red Chris uses about 30 megawatts. So that little building there that's got about a 6-foot pipe coming out of the mountain that runs into there is enough to power about 2 Red Chris's. This is a news release map we put out the other day. A lot of people were phoning me up and saying, people don't understand this story. They kind of forget where you guys are. I'm like, really? I've been telling the story for 3 years and people are still forgetting where we are. But so what we did was we put the land players in the area, and we just simplified it. We said, don't believe a word about it that Adam's telling you about the geology. Don't believe anything that the government's telling you that the geology is the same at KSM over in this district. Don't believe the fact that Seabridge, $1 billion market cap company, moved from where they were at KSM and took out our joint venture partner and came into the belt where we are earlier this year. But maybe look at this map, and this is basically the gold in the in the streams from the government sampling, literally thousands and thousands of samples. And we just gridded it up for gold. So basically, simplistically, what it's telling you, if you want to be in the heart of the Golden Triangle, you should be where those big blobs are, right? So everybody, of course, knows the story at Pretium and KSM there, and with Bruce Jack and KSM. And then, of course, this is why people like Seabridge came to the west. Here we are, we've got 2 big, large blobs, if you will, literally in the order of 100 square kilometers, each one of those blobs. So, of course, you've got where Seabridge has got Johnny Mountain, Skeena came in and took the Snip mine, and then you've got Colorado there on, if you want to call it, the third of the 3 blobs. So, good area to be. I won't bore you too much here, but we've done this is some of the government geology work that they've done in the region. There we were on the front cover of the 2014 Fieldwork magazine from the government. There's what some of the mountain ranges look like. I've never been in my entire 30-year career be able to stand on a mountain of rusty rocks that literally is running a gram gold in soils and be able to look across 5 kilometers away to another mountain of entire rusty areas too. The only other place in the district that you see alteration like that and that kind of scale and size is at KSM and next door to Pretium. So like I say, good to have good geology, but also to have the gold in the rocks and in the soil. So we showed you you want to be in that address in the first place by just looking at the stream chemistry. This is what when you take 25,000 soil samples, and you can see that the gold values are also in the soils, and in particular we're focusing on one area in the western side at Inel. I like to say good to see the gold in the streams and the soils and the rocks, but also good to see it in the drill core, and we'll show you that a little bit later. And I apologize, I'm going to try to go a little bit fast here, but I think most of you know this story and you want to see what we have more towards the end here. So we took this one small area. Keep in mind this is only about 1%, less than 1% of that overall 300 square kilometer property, and we're looking at an area here of about 10 square kilometers. I really just wanted to show you this, that we're getting a good handle on the geology. We've been updating it, and the big thing here in this camp is you need to be near those intrusive rocks. They're called the Mitchell intrusions. Those are named after KSM or Mitchell, and then you want to be where these green rocks and brown rocks come together. And that area just there where the green rocks are is about 4 kilometers of strike length. So this was an area where we did some drilling this year up at Inel, up in the, sort of the north central part of the claim. We also did a couple little test holes down in the Khyber area there. That was an area in 2014, kind of in the deepest, darkest moments of the bear market. In hole 14-3, we put out 34 meters of almost 3 grams gold and 18 grams over 2.5 meters that we don't really talk about too much. And this year, like I said, we focused, as you can tell from that map, about 2 kilometers to the north that I know. I just throw this on. This is, probably in the order of 3,000 soil samples that were taken there. And just to give you an idea of this, not only the scale, but the intensity of these, we're contouring those soils. You look there, it needs to be 1,000 parts per billion gold to get a red dot, or about a gram. If we were fortunate enough, if these rocks were rusty and oxidized, like in Nevada, they would be mining the soil. Up north, of course, we've got more sulfide rocks, and they're not going to leach, but that's the kind of intensity of soil anomaly we have. And we're really just going to zoom in again here to this one small area here at Inel. So this was kind of mostly taken from a news release that we a couple of them we put out together. If we just look at this one area at Inel, we've taken about a couple thousand soil samples in that area, about 500 which we took, and probably about 1,500 that were taken over the last few decades in the area. We put out in February of this year that we said that the area average is 1.3 grams gold over 1.5 square kilometers. We talked about having 3 prospective trends. We came into this area, we drilled 53 drill holes for almost 8,000 meters. This news release out last week highlighted about 6 trends. We're getting high-grade gold values up to, I think that's in the order of about 5 ounces per ton, but quite routinely we're getting sort of half-ounce to 1-ounce type intercepts over underground type mining widths, 1 to 2 meters. But we're also seeing very broad intervals in the order of like 100 meters of a couple grams. So it's been a really good, successful year. And like the other thing that I want people to try to impress upon is that one trend, for instance, that North Discovery trend we've got in brackets there, 400 meters. So the scale of size, when you're up north there in these mountain ranges, the scale is really, truly incredible. That one trend there at North Discovery that's 400 meters long, keep in mind the snip mine, which is really just down at the bottom of the valley from here, about 10 kilometers away. It produced 1 million ounces of gold from a strike length of 300 meters. They went down about 500 meters down depth, and they had about only 2.5 meters wide. So lots of room here for more drilling, lots of room to find sort of snip type trends in there, at least a few of them. You can see here, North Discovery trend, 400 meters. South Discovery trend, another 400 meter trend. We've only tested it for about 200 meters. Another trend over here, South Inel Creek, 350 meters known strike length of trend. And I'll show you a little bit more. It's probably a little hard to read those type intercepts, but we'll, if I go a little faster here, I'll show you some of the cross sections, and please come by our booth for basically show you why we're connecting up those intercepts. North Inel Creek and 300 meters. South AK trend, that's an area there 500 meters away from any of the historical work that was done. And I think we put out an intercept 2 press releases ago, I think 53 grams or something over it was like a 1.7 ounces. So lots of gold in this area, lots of room to grow. There's another trend, North AK trend. We've never put a single drill hole up into there for ourselves. So we're going to look at a couple quick sections here. So this is truly something new. We've got our geologist, Jim Oliver, over in our booth here with us. He's been working away on these for the last 2 weeks. Really what I want you to get across here is green rocks are volcanics, brown rocks are sediments, and then some of the pink rocks are the intrusions. And off board to the, well, my left of the slide or downhill, there's a big intrusion there called the Inel intrusion. So this also towards the central or the bottom part, you can see, you may be able to see a little small opening. That was an old underground working that was put into the 80s, and so they've drilled some very small drill core from there. So just on that section alone, we've probably expanded about 4 times fold with the drilling. So these were some of the intercepts that we put out here. I highlighted a couple of them. You can see they break down roughly into 2 different kind of classes. One where we're starting to see those, half ounce to an ounce type intercepts over 1 to 2 meters, but we're also seeing some very broad intervals over very long 100-meter type intercepts in through there. I'll be pleased to show you a little bit more at our booth, but simplistically what we're learning about this is that the mineralization is occurring along these stratabound horizons, so basically near the sediment volcanic contact, or you can see there's 2 different kinds of volcanic units in there. So we see the mineralization along these flatter dipping along the slope, but we also start to see what we're terming feeder zones that are coming up through the sediments that are practically the zones that have fed up and then bled out along. So not unlike what they're seeing in places like Ascot there at the Silvac Premier, so where you can get spectacular high grades fed probably coming up from the intrusion and then spreading out. I know I don't have much time here, so we'll just do this quickly again. Just another section here. I think we've jumped 100 meters to the north. This was an intercept in hole 49, for instance, that we put out in the last press release here, where the last 64 meters of the hole bottomed in 2.73 grams. And we were also getting 47 gram type intercepts in it. So that was one of the closest hole that's ever been drilled to the intrusion that's downslope. So I'll show you why in plan map at our booth, but why we believe there's about 200 or 300 meters from that intercept all the way to the intrusion. And if the intrusion is bringing in the gold, then you better get closer to that intrusion and hopefully you'll get higher gold. Another section here. Yep, this was intercept hole 8, hole 9. So again, seeing this combination of low, sort of broad intervals in 1 to 2 gram range. This is the northernmost drill fence that we ever drilled. That was our first drill hole we drilled. We drilled out here because of a lot of snow when we first started in early June. This was an area where we started to think about high-grade feeder structures. See that hole 1 there with 8 grams over 3 meters, 6 grams over 11. Hole 2, we shut that hole down thinking that we didn't really see the mineralization, and lo and behold, there we got things like 15 or 16 grams over 2 meters in a rock that really didn't look like it was near the contact with the volcanics. Just want to show you here quickly. That's an area, sort of a Google Earth image where we press the soil anomaly. Again, that field of view you can see off in the background, the hydroelectric plant and the run-of-river project and the dam. That's a distance of about 10 kilometers, so not very far away to get to roads and power lines and things like that. But also, just if you can see our little drill holes in through there, we've really only just scratched the surface of really what is a huge system. So again, just to sort of summarize up here quickly. We had one of the best soil anomalies I've seen in my career. We thought we had 3 initial trends. We did 53 drill holes this summer. We announced multi-ounce up to I think 5.3 ounces was our highest intercept. Also got some very broad lower grade intercepts. Only tested about 1/5 of the soil anomaly. The other key thing corporately for us is now we spent $6 million on this project over the last 3 years. That's 1 year ahead of schedule. And that allows us to declare 51% ownership of this project and basically control of, as hopefully I showed you earlier on, control of one of the largest land packages in the area, and just as perspective as what Pretium and Seabridge has. And then at any time when strategic for us, being a year ahead, we have the option to spend another $4 million and go on to 80%. This slide in the bottom also is to remind me, it was kind of nice. I went into the core shack here at the end, and some of our people had put together and reminded me that it's all about a team, and lots of great contractors and people here up this year. So thanks for your time, and please come by our booth, and like I said, this will be posted on our website shortly.